Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be reviewing the GeForce GT 1030 2GB. As you can see, the box is there. It's from the Chinese company Forsa or whatever you wanna call it. And well, here's the card. Inside the box you only get the card plus a CD with the drivers. So I'm going to go first over specs. Then I'll show you some benchmarks on the card only on 3 games, on Doom, Shadow of War and Overwatch. Then I will compare this on 8 games against the 750 Ti with and without overclock, and then also against the 1050 2GB. And this one I'll overclock it as well, so you can see stock frequencies plus overclock. So let's get started. First of all, I couldn't find in their webpage from Forsa the specifications, so I have to look it up on the NVidia website, and I found the boost clock is 1468 MHz. But again, since this uses NVIDIA GPU Boost, the clock speed will vary depending on temperatures and other things. So this can go to like 1768, something like that, depending on temperatures and other factors. So 1468 boost clock, it won't go below 1468 so far. Then it has 384 CUDA cores, and the memory clock is 3000. That's pretty much the information we have about it. And the card is also 14.5 centimeters long. It's almost the same length as EVGA GeForce GTX 1050 2GB or 1050 Ti, the single fan cards. So it's pretty much the same size. As you can see, it's a very small card, and it uses very little power, only 30 watts. So well, my experience with it has been very positive. It didn't go over 60. It didn't go anything close 70 degrees Celsius. It was very cool, considering how small this cooler is. As you can see there, very small cooler. So only 2 GB of VRAM. We have a 64-bit bus compared with the 1050 Ti or 750 Ti or 1050 that have 128-bit buses, or whatever you want to call them. And well, on the overclock I was able to push it to 150 MHz on the core clock and 500 MHz on the memory clock. So it's a very good overclock, but it varies quite a bit due to NVIDIA GPU Boost. So yeah. This is around $69.99 on the US. On my country is quite a bit more, but that's not the point. I'm going to just go straight into the benchmarks, since that's what you're here for, and I'll discuss my conclusions at the end of the video. And for the benchmarks, I'm going to first test Overwatch, Doom and Middle-earth's Shadow of War on the 1030 only, without overclock or anything else, just to show you pretty much a baseline of how it performs on its own. And then I'll test some other games, but comparing it to the GTX 1050 2GB and my GTX 750 Ti. This with and without overclock, this just stock frequencies. So you can see, well, the comparisons if you spend a little extra money. And all this will be tested on my Ryzen 3 1200 overclocked to 3.9 GHz and 8 GB of RAM on dual channel. And well, I'm just comparing these games. I'm comparing it around 8 games, and I'll use the same settings on all the cards, so it's fair. But remember, the GT 1030 on some games will be like 20 frames per second. Don't freak out, you can lower the settings just fine. Most of the time I'm using high settings or ultra settings on 1080p, but you can easily lower to 900p and lower the settings on 1080p or whatever you want to do, since, well, games can be tweaked. So this is only for comparison's sake. You can lower the settings and get over 30 frames per second, so don't worry about that.
Enemy turret neutralized.
Conquer for you. I have your back, my lord. Adam boy! My prey! I have seen your coming, and your failure, and your fall. This refuge shall not be yours! You're gonna die! Hold it right there! Keep pushing forward! Don't move! Weapons up! Forward!
Be for nothing. Move! They got one of ours! Eyes front, drive! Tear that MG to pieces! Hold position here! Clean out all the German guns! we don't leave our boys. Come back. The windmill, we have to hold that point. Driver, what are you...
Needs a haircut? Everyone needs a haircut. Step up.
Move along.
Fire swatter, the game changer.
Synth-free shopping, right here.
Cam I Care cares about you.
Nothing to see here.
Just a little bit.
Totally.
me that pose you did in the Jordan Frost video? You know, the black and white one with the all six Oh, yeah. That's it. Oh, you know it.
Please. Please call him that to his face.
If you'll excuse me, Congressman, urgent matter. Do enjoy your evening.
I need you by the stage.
Where the hell is my dress? Who took my...
Okay, you next.
Trouble?
Mutant!
Oh! Fiends take you! Ah!
Your very presence is an affront to the eternal fire.
I'm hungry.
Sit real ones disappear. We've done a lot.
By order of the hierarch, whosoever conceals a
Oh,
blade
what?
shall burn alongside him or her.
Oh. What?
You, head down to the old radio. Get the generator working. We need to get one last transmission out, and let the other settlements know what's coming. I'll do what I can.
I need more wood for the fire.
They needed most of the lumber to repair the guard towers. We'll have to make do with what we have.
Well, if they need arrowheads for the battle...
Jacob said they'd come.
Lara, I'm sorry if Sophia was less than welcoming.
I understand. I'm just glad you were there to vouch for me.
My people have spent decades fighting outsiders. It's not an easy habit to break. See if you can lend a hand with the preparations. A little hard work would go a long way towards building trust.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay guys, so as you could see in the benchmarks, it ran pretty well on Shadow of War, for example. It was medium settings, 1080p with dynamic resolution, targeting 30 frames per second. Still very playable for a card of that price. I was quite impressed, but with the overclock it will be better compared to what I showed you. As you could see on some games, the GT 1030 overclocked was very close to the stock 750 Ti, so that's good. For that price is quite impressive. But personally, I would just try to get a GTX 750 Ti used, since if you can get it at a very similar price, you get quite a bit more of performance out of the box. On some games like Fallout 4, Hitman, GTA 5, the difference was more significant between those two cards. So it seems to be, it can vary quite a lot depending on the game. But so far it has very good performance for the power it uses and the price, depending on where you live, of course. I couldn't find a 750 Ti below $90 or something like that on eBay, but maybe I'm not good at looking at stuff on eBay. Just look it up and see in your country what's the price of a used 750 Ti. If you can get it for a very similar price to this new, I would consider a 750 Ti instead. But I know that not everyone wants to get used parts. Maybe you just want to get a budget PC, maybe with the G4560 and I don't know, a 1030, something very cheap. Well, this gets away with it quite well. You can even overclock it pretty good. You can get over 1800 megahertz on the core clock, so it's quite nice of an overclock, since you can get very close to this on many games. But then you have the GTX 1050 2GB. What's the thing with this? Well, it's pretty much double the frame rate compared with the GT 1030, and it's not double the price, at least where I live. I mean, you can get the GT 1030 for $69.99 in the US. Maybe you can get this for 100 and something. So it's almost double the price for what I could see, but not double the price on most places. So maybe you want to save up some more and get this one. It doesn't use a 6-pin connector, so it doesn't use that much power anyway. So yeah, my recommendation, if you can get a 750 Ti used for the same price or for very similar price, maybe $10 difference, I will get a 750 Ti. If that's not the case, get the 1030, and if you can save up some more, I will get a 1050 2GB, a wider bus, way higher frame rates compared to the 1030. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm not here to tell you which one to buy. It's just to consider seeing my frame rates and my results. Seeing in your country the prices, you can get to well, to your own conclusion. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching and see you next time.